¿Qué lo que hay, mi gente? Welcome to Let's Hablar Solita podcast brought to you by Hablemos Productions. Vamos a hablar de todo sin filtro. Let's talk without a filter.
¿Qué lo que hay, mi gente? Soy yo, Ladies 7. Thank you for joining us on Let's Hablar Solita podcast. So today we're going to be discussing a show that I came across with none other than John Leguizamo himself. Well, his real name is actually pronounced John Leguizamo, but he pronounces it wrong on purpose. You can check that out on any one of his interviews. So John Leguizamo is actually on this new network. I believe it's called The Network. It's an app that you can download on your iPad, on your iPhone. You can go online. It's literally free. It's a streaming service that you can go and watch original content for free, whether it be movies, series, or anything along those lines. We're going to be talking about his latest project called The Green Veil. The Green Veil is essentially discussing about indigenous culture, but it's also tying in Latino self-hatred, the wanting to assimilate into society. And I don't know why I was blanking on that word. Anyway, mi gente. So essentially, John Leguizamo plays a man who is married to a white woman and he adopted a white child and he is trying to pretend that he is white. He does not want people to know that he is Latino. He says that he just tans easily. But he's part of a government organization that is affiliated with kidnappings of indigenous children. They would put indigenous children into these like boarding school academy type things, and then make the families disappear so that way they could sell the land to oil companies essentially. So that's what they were doing. It does bring up UFOs. I haven't gotten to the part of UFOs because I'm on like episode 2, and let me just say this. If you loved the movie The Pest, you will hate John Leguizamo here. He does make you loathe him. You loathe this person. And it's more than just because he's a part of this society. And the reason why I'm wearing green is because it's called The Green Veil. That's the name of the show. He essentially, right, does not care of the fact that this government organization is taking children and stripping them from from their parents, and the parents are devastated at the loss of their children. He does not care, even though that was something that happened to him. I'm not going to go too much into detail on how it was done to him as a child, but I will say that as someone who we often think that, someone who goes through something, they're going to be traumatized and they're not going to want that to happen to them or anyone that they know. No, he very much feeds into that mentality of, even though it was done to me, this is not me. This is a different group. This is a different group of people. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my past. So I can go ahead and do it. Why? Because I got to be like these people. I have to assimilate into this culture. And that to me was what was really sad about his character. You don't feel bad for him. Like, I don't feel sorry for his character. I actually think his character is an asshole. But I, and I say that with my whole chest. I feel like his character is an asshole. And if I could punch his character in the face, I would punch his character in the face. But I can't do that. And to me, so to start, right, when you're watching the show, it starts off with a young girl telling how the story begins. You assume that someone is going to do something to stop these kidnappings. And unfortunately, no one stops this young indigenous young lady, from getting abducted from her home, and her parents are now distraught. And you see this mother chasing this car, this automobile, screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming, and the father comes out and he realizes his daughter has been taken, and they're just distraught. The pain and the agony that you feel for these parents is like no other. And if you hear that noise, I'm sorry, it's the air conditioning. It's getting hot out here. So mind your business. But it's literally one of those things that you're so, how could this be legal? How could this be something that was done? And it was something that actually happened in the US. It happened in the United States of America. It's not based on one person's story. This is based on events that took place in this country and things that actually I feel are still happening today that no one speaks about. And it's really disheartening because there are so many indigenous people that are missing, so many indigenous people that are being unalived and that are being SA'd and nothing is being done, and they're blaming mental health, they're blaming substance abuse today on a lot of the things that are going on. But I have a feeling that a lot of the instances that we're seeing happen have nothing to do with any of that. It happens to do with hate, in my opinion. Again, I don't have anything to necessarily back that up, right? Because I don't have the proof for every case, but I do know that there are a lot of cases that we see out there that don't get the recognition that they deserve, such as Cole Brings Plenty. He was being accused of a crime, but he is a victim of a crime. And yet the government and officials, law enforcement, have done nothing to bring justice to Cole Brings Plenty or his sister. I think it's Kyla Mercy Red Bear. I don't think that they're going to ever do anything to help those people, and it really brings sadness because shows such as the Green Veil and also the Alaska Daily, they bring awareness to indigenous people who are being abused in this country, and it's not being spoken about as much. I feel like more people need to promote projects like the one that John Leguizamo is currently on, and hopefully it will continue to get traction. Hopefully this video will help in that way. um, I can say that when I first saw the first episode, it starts off with that particular indigenous woman chasing after the automobile that has her daughter. They have abducted her child. And then it goes over to John Leguizamo's perfect family, right? His picture perfect family baptizing this young girl who they just adopted, but she's not even Christian. They're baptizing her in the Christian faith, but she's Jewish. She was taken from her mother, put into adoption, and they adopted her to pass her as their own. And he's, again, a Latino who was taken from his mother, put into the adoption system, and changed his name to pass as a white man. Um, and he works for the government. He has the picture perfect wife. He has the beautiful daughter, and he wants to have the picture perfect family. He speaks about that a lot. How his family is picture perfect. We have to be perfect. We have to be this. We have to be that. It's so embedded in this man that perfection is key. And to me, it was really just disgusting at the fact that he did not realize that there is no such thing as perfect. No one in life is perfect, but he wants that so desperately. He wants to be a part of the conversation. And it goes with what we see a lot today. We see a lot of people who are shoved so far up these people who don't even care about your interest of your community. They're shoved so far up their asshole that they don't see that that person's only using you for their demographic, right? Oh, we're part of diversity. We have Latinos who rock with us. We have Black people who rock with us, Asian people who rock with us. We're a diverse group. We work with everybody. No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay, you're using that person to try to up yourself in the polls, and that's not how it's going to work. You got to put the work in. And that's essentially what John Leguizamo's character is like. His character is, if I do this, they will accept me, damn it. They will accept me. I'll be one of them. You'll never be one of them. they only invite you to the party because you're a diversity invite. And so they speak on that first about the, his picture perfect family and how his adoptive daughter is going to take time before she can call him dad, just wants her to call her dad just every once in a while, just once in a while. And on episode 2, it's more so about the wife's role in this dynamic. The wife is essentially starting to question her husband. Like, what does he do all day? Where does he go? I know he works. I know he works for the government, but I'm not allowed to question things. I'm not allowed to ask questions. So essentially, she's the type of woman that um, Casey's kicker, Harrison Buttlicker, would appreciate. She's the type of woman that she's not supposed to ask questions. That's the type of woman that he wants all of us to be. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna bring us to Bobo del Dia. Bobo del Dia está con Harrison butt kicker, butt licker, butt no, you know what I mean. So Harrison from Kansas City Chiefs gave a speech at a Catholic university. I am Catholic. I am a practicing Catholic to an extent. And when I say to an extent, because while I believe in all of the archangels, los santos, en Dios, I believe in la Virgen de Guadalupe, I do not believe that LGBTQ plus people are a sin. I do not believe that IVF is a sin. I do not believe that people who choose not to be married are sinful. I do not choose to believe that babies born out of wedlock are sinful. I don't have those ideals. I don't believe in the older version of life. I believe a lot that we decide how to live and that God loves us no matter how that is. But I also believe that being LGBTQ plus is not a choice, that God made us that way, and that, he has a plan for everyone. I believe in that. I believe that is our business to discuss and with whom we wish to discuss it. But you have people like Harrison, who gave this speech at a college to women who are receiving their degrees, saying that they have been lied to, that their accomplishment is not necessarily the degree that they have achieved or the career that they will have. It will be when they become someone's wife and then the mother of someone's child. That will be their greatest accomplishment. Here's the problem with that. Not everyone aspires to be a mother or a wife. Not everyone aspires to have a traditional family, Catholic or not. I disagree wholeheartedly with that statement. That's why he has Bobo del Dia. And almost to wrap up Bobo del Dia and to go back into Green Veil, I completely just disagree with his statement as someone who's Catholic. I believe that IVF is someone's choice. And if it helps them create their family, that is their choosing. I believe that God created people who were able to use science to be able to help people to do that. They can create their families with the use of science. So if we're going to talk about how everything is God's creation, then that's a part of it too, because God created everyone in his image, and also God allowed his son to walk the earth. And Jesus was the one who said, "He who is free of sin cast the first stone." So for Harrison Buttlicker to say that, people who think otherwise are sinful, you are not walking in God's light. Much like the character in Greenville. So circling back to Greenville. The Greenville, I do not believe that John Leguizamo's character is someone who walks the path of God as much as he believes in this Christian family, right? In this perfect family, and in his vision of what that looks like. I see this it's almost like a tick, it's almost like this light switch that turns on when something doesn't go his way. And it's like a switch. And I say that because when his wife starts to question, what does my husband do all day? She starts to kind of like snoop around, right? And it all stems from he gets like a random call in for work, and she's like, Then she starts seeing UFO reportings in the newspaper. She's like, wonder if this has anything to do with that weird call that my husband got the other day. So she starts snooping in his office and finds classified documents. And she goes to this, it's like a farm, like a big old rancho. And she goes there, looks around. It turns out to be where the opening scene was in episode 1, where you see the indigenous girl get abducted and her indigenous mother chase after her, and her father, who is a Latino man, chase after her, and then both of them distraught. They're disappeared. They're no longer on their farm. And someone else is there, and he's charging for a tour of this UFO crop circle that just spontaneously appears on the land. And she goes there, and she's like kind of in shock, and she doesn't know what to make of it. She's confused because the classified file talked about a UFO, but it also talked about indigenous children. So she doesn't know what to make of it. She's questioning everything. She has so much that's going around in her brain. And then when she gets home, she realizes that she's home past the time that her husband was supposed to be home. So now she's going to get in trouble because she wasn't supposed to leave the house. She wasn't supposed to look through his things. She's not supposed to have questions. She's not supposed to question her husband on what he does. She's just supposed to cook meals and take care of the kids. So she gets home and she apologizes for being late, and they make up this story that she was out trying to plan this birthday party for him in a few months, and he kind of buys it at first, and then next thing you know, the lie starts to come apart, and the adoptive daughter sticks up for the adoptive mother, and he puts either it was like rice or salt, and has the adoptive child knee on to the rice or salt for the whole night. Which essentially, if you don't know what that is, that's an old school form of punishment where they would have you do that, and it would burn the shit out of your skin. Like, it would burn the shit out of your skin. I could not believe that that was the type of character he was playing. And when he has relations with his wife, he can't look at her in the face. He has to do it from behind. He can't look at her in the face. He has this complexity of, like, he just can't look at her in her face. They sleep in separate bedrooms back in that time, so I'm guessing it's in the 40s and 50s, maybe 60s. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense as to why he's so like, he's wired to be just so like narcissistic, and he's so anal about everything. He's just very, very like meticulous. You know what I mean? Like he has to be precise. And so he gets mad, finds out that, you know, that was a lie, that she did not plan this party, but he wants to have a good day. And I think I might be jumping. But you know, he finds that out after he had taken her, because he had he was happy. They're planning this party for me. And so before he finds out that what they said was a lie, he takes her to that UFO tour, thinking that it's gonna be like cool, like he's treating his family. And they're acting like nothing happened, right? Like they're acting like nothing happened. The daughter and the mom are having each other's back, but it turns out the guy that's giving the tour also works for the government and calls him and sets him up and kind of like, he snitches. He snitches on the wife, and that's how John Leguizamo's character finds out, and he's upset about the betrayal. Why? Because he's been betrayed, and how can he be betrayed by his wife? This is supposed to be his perfect family, and now his operation might be at risk, because what does she know? What does she suspect about these indigenous children missing, and about UFO sightings, and about the possibility of the government taking over this property and selling it to oil companies? So that's essentially what this whole show is going to be about. The first two episodes, what I will say, it pisses you off, and it kind of leaves you with more questions than answers. But I think that that's the good part, because it kind of makes you want to watch more. They have now, I believe it's like 8 or 9 episodes up. I have to go and get caught up, because they kind of released just the first 2 episodes, and then I haven't been able to watch the rest of them. But I really do suggest that you watch them, because it does make your stomach turn when you see the amount of cases that he had in his desk of indigenous children who have been displaced. They have been put into these boarding homes, so that way they could get rid of the parents, essentially, and no one can claim those lands, and they would sell them to oil companies. They are essentially also getting rid of the the parents, so that way they can use their lands to benefit for the government, and saying that, oh, this is like, there's a extraterrestrial sighting here. I don't think that this series is gonna talk about UFOs in like a real sense, right? Because we know that UFOs are a thing. um but I don't think they're gonna actually like go into depth. I think that this is just their way to say that, like, at first this was a cover up to hide the fact that we were taking indigenous children and destroying indigenous families. I think that that's what the whole UFO aspect has to do here. But it's interesting how this show brings up how women were so silent, and they were supposed to be so quiet about their day-to-day routines, about their life, and their husbands they liked it that way. They enjoyed it that way. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Yo estuviera bien muerta, me muero, me matan, because I am not silent. I have a lot of opinions. I like to ask questions a lot. And it's through no fault of my own. I've always been a very curious mind. My parents have always gotten probably annoyed at how many questions I've asked. I never left that habit. It's always been there. It's always going to be there. It's just, I'm curious. I just have a lot of questions. But I I think that these shows need to be promoted. I think that they need to be spoken about. I think that this is a good show to watch, because it's going to bring light to what's happening today. There are a lot of children that are being displaced. There are a lot of children that are missing. A lot of indigenous people are being victims of hate crimes, and there has not been any justice for them, any real justice that I can speak on, because I think that real justice comes from acknowledgement. And unfortunately, when law officials and the government refuse to acknowledge the truth, there won't be any justice for the victims. And unfortunately, that's what I feel like we're seeing a lot um, in a lot of other aspects of the world. Now, I will say that John Leguizamo's character is, I think it was like Roger something. Gordon Rogers is John Leguizamo's character. John Leguizamo's character is, again, a man who's trying to assimilate. He's a self-loathing Latino who tries to pretend he's white, but he forgets that you will never be one of them. And then you have Abby, who is his adoptive daughter. She you can tell that because she's not little, right? She's probably, I want to say, about 14, 15 years old. And she's like, I will just smile and pretend that I understand him because I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm just here. They took me away from my family, and I just want to live. I just want to live. I just want to make it out of here. Like, I don't want to be gone tomorrow, unalive tomorrow. And then you have Mabel Rogers, who is his wife. The daughter covered for her, and she ended up paying for it, which sucks. And then you have Glennie Sutton and Gilberto Sutton. They are the indigenous and the Latino parents that they lose their daughter on episode 1. She's abducted by the government. And then you have a lot of other characters in there that are being introduced, and I think it's just interesting how you don't think typically of this until you see it. So it is based on the 50s, and it says, in the 50s, the government agent is tasked with unveiling a secret mission that threatens to expose deeper secrets. So he essentially is trying to he's trying to assimilate, but I have a feeling that he's going to be forced to do different. And if you go, I think the app is just called the Network, but it's like I think it's I'll link it, but it's the Network. If you go to your app store, and it's like a black box with some lines, and it says the Network, but it's literally very stressful to watch because I was not raised like that. I was raised to be very proud of who you are, to accept yourself and all of your faults and all of your imperfections. All of who you are is beautiful, and I feel like John Leguizamo's characters is 100% the opposite of that. He is 100% the type of character that you do not want in your life. He's the type of person that you're like, nope, you can stay over there. We can't be friends. No podemos ser amigos. Go back home. You're one of like those people. But you do feel sorry for the daughter. You do feel sorry for the wife. You do feel sorry for these other characters, the indigenous people. I will keep you guys updated on the rest of the series, but if you're going to ask my opinion, I think that you guys should go check it out. Check out The Green Veil on the Network. I'll link it in the description. And Bobo del Dia goes to Harrison Butt Kicker and also Diddy. If you haven't seen that video, go look at it now. We know that he did what he did, and it's not a surprise. His apology is a half-assed apology, and it's not sincere. So go check it out if you can. Until next time.
Gracias, mi gente, for tuning in to Let's Hablar Solita podcast. Bendiciones siempre. Remember, aquí hablemos sin filtro. Bye.